To all coverage of the Kalou by-election that has been touted as quite symbolic in terms of the political outlook for the larger Mount Kenya region. But equally, it is a do-or-die affair for the two candidates who are front-runners, and not just them. William Ruto, the party leader and president, party leader of UDA and president, as well as DCP party leader Ruto-Gachagua, who are facing off indirectly in that particular by-election. Live pictures from Kalou, as you can see right there. We'll be crossing over to our reporter just to get a semblance of the vote counting process, who exactly is leading in that mini poll, where roughly 141 polling stations were opened by IEBC. Over 70,000 registered voters were expected to head to the polling stations. But according to the IEBC, roughly 51% of voter turnout was registered in Kalou constituency. So those are live pictures from the constituency tallying center, and we'll be crossing over in just but a few. But allow me to engage my guests who are joining me in studio on a couple of issues that are rising from this particular by-election, including the political outlook thereafter. I'm joined in studio by Aden Kainan, the Member of Parliament for Eldas constituency. Karibu sana, thanks for making time.
Good evening, viewers.
Asante. Equally joined by Wilberforce Oundo, who's a Member of Parliament for Funyula constituency. Wilberforce, karibu sana.
Good evening, viewers. It's good to be here today on a day like this.
Asante sana. Equally, Professor Peter Kagwanja had time for us. He is the CEO of the Africa Policy Institute and a regular panelist on either SPICE or KTN. So karibu sana.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers.
I know it's a heavy day politically, and let's start with you, Prof, because at the end of the day, people are touting this particular by-election as a litmus test, not just for IEBC, but for the predominant political players in Mount Kenya. I'm talking about UDA and the DCP party. From where you sit, is that true? Could we truly tell how 2027 will play out, borrowing from the voting patterns in Kalou? Because when we were holding the Mbere North election, by-election, people said this is the litmus test. So this time round, we're hearing that this might be the true state of affairs of how the people of Mount Kenya might be voting come 2027. What's your take on that?
You are right. This was a very high-stake kind of a game. It has emerged to be a two-horse race, despite that there were 9 candidates, but in reality it's a two-horse race. The reason being that there has been this polarization between the forces behind the voting, the parties. For UDA, it is William Ruto who was physically there in terms of the imagination. DCP, it is Ruto-Gachagua. You can talk about the continuation of the pre-impeachment, impeachment, and after impeachment rivalry. That kind of showdown. And both had their game plan, and the game plan was pegged to 2027. So both were using Kalou as a dipstick to test what is going to happen in 2027. For William Ruto, his ambitions were fairly mundane. You want to have 20% of that vote, so that you know, if you generalize that across Mount Kenya region, you'll get a respectable vote in 2027. For Ruto-Gachagua, it must be a total wipeout, and 80% and above. So that is the way the game plan was. I was shocked to hear some people saying UDA might win. I mean, UDA's versus DCP was a battle of eggs against stones. Either way, if the stone fall on the egg will break. If the egg hit the stone to break. So the victory for DCP was inevitable. The question was the margin of that victory, because that is the one that is going to tell the story of 2027. Mbere North, despite all the exaggeration, was never expected to be a litmus test. It's the smallest constituency in the region, and with heavy pounding financially, you can win it. And of course, the people around William Ruto understood the clan dynamics in Mbere, and therefore they exploited them to the maximum. And there's no way that they would. But the victory was also very narrow, you could tell. So that does not tell much about 2027. So in a word, to me, Kalou is unfolding just the way it was planned. But it is a very, very tight, it's a very high stakes game. And I think the main loser is Jubilee, because it has been wiped out completely. So that says it's a two-horse race.
Okay. Ondo, what's your analysis of this by-election? High stakes, and what does this by-election mean for Ruto and Gachagua's political camps from where you sit?
First of all, by-elections are a bit unique in the sense that there's only one, probably one or a few, and the key players in that by-election can focus in that particular area, 100%. We saw it, if you remember some years back, the Kipipiri by-election. You see, it's turning out to be literally the same. But this result sends 2 or 3 lessons to be learned. First of all, political support could easily be built on quicksand. Prior to the rundown to 2022 elections, Ruto was the darling of the Mount Kenya people. They gave him all the good names. They welcomed him. They literally made him part and parcel of them. The turnaround between him and the people of Mount Kenya probably is a matter that the academicians need to study and find out exactly what happened. Where I sit, it would seem the votes for Ruto in Mount Kenya region could be extremely minimal. From the results of these elections, could be extremely minimal. And he needs to go back and ask himself, where did the rain start beating him? Because at that rate, you see, politics is contagious. People from other regions will also start asking questions and follow suit. That you are rejected, you are stronghold. What is it in it for us in store? Where have they rejected you? Probably you have some characteristics that are repulsive to the people. And that's why the people who came with you, who sang your song, have rejected you. But I must give credit to the people of Kalou. You have made Kenya proud. We believe we can reset this country. We believe there's redemption coming. We were, as Linda Mwananchi, we were in Nyandarua on Sunday, even though we didn't end well. But our interaction with the people clearly showed to us that UDA had zero chances of ever winning. In fact, even the 5,000 or 6,000 votes they are going to get is scatters of that massive bribery and then the violence that was unleashed since morning today. You have seen the video circulating, where unlike many times we stand on the rooftop with the microphone, top of the car with the microphone, they were standing on top of the car with their rifles. It is, so as other than the results itself, there is a very serious warning, signal about the impending violence in the politics of Kenya. And this has been fomenting for some months, for some years now, since that fallout between Gachagua and Ruto, this has been fomenting. And I just want to urge the security agencies, at the end of the day, and if this country tears into pieces, probably they will not literally blame Ruto, but they will blame the security agencies, that they let down the people of Kenya at the hour of need. Those guys who are seen on top of the cars with rifles and tear gas canisters, do yourself justice, do to the people of Kenya justice, and be truthful to your calling as provided for in the Constitution. And if you're a true Christian, arrest those people and bundle them to the courts of law so they can answer for such a heinous act. But indeed, we are happy.
Well, IBC hasn't declared the winner yet, but we'll be crossing over to our reporters to get a feel of who exactly is leading. Adan Kainan, let's speak to the the sights and sounds from All Kalou, because Oundo has just hinted at the unfortunate turn of events where perhaps the heavy-handedness of plainclothes police officers was witnessed in glaring cameras. Some journalists from sister TV stations were actually targeted and their equipment confiscated. We were given assurance by multi-agency team, IEBC, the Inspector General Douglas Kanja, that over 1,000 police officers have been deployed to All Kalou. But at the end of the day, we've still seen pocketed instances of chaos. What's your analysis of IEBC's, of the police's handling of this particular by-election?
Thank you so much. First of all, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the people of All Kalou for the peaceful manner in which they participated in this critical and highly competitive by-election. I also want to congratulate the IEBC. They have been bashed, they have been criticized, but at the end of the day, you know, being a neutral arbiter to politicians is a very difficult job, I really, really empathize with them, and I think generally they have done a good job. In politics, we say the end justifies the means. I think they have conducted the elections in a very transparent, very fair manner. They have been criticized, which is allowed in democracy. So I want to congratulate them wherever they are. The commissioners led by the chairman, I think they have done a commendable job. We expect more as part of the countdown, actually, to the general election. Yeah. I also want to congratulate, under very difficult circumstances, our security agencies, the police officers. Those are sons and daughters of the people of Kenya. And I think they are tasked to maintain law and order. And this was a highly paralyzed by-election. So under very difficult circumstances, I think they did a commendable job. What I want to urge them is those individuals who are seen to be carrying or to be wielding guns in civilian clothes must be arrested and subjected to the rule of law, because that's what our constitution and adherence to the rule of law actually demands, and that's what has been promised. So I think that must be part of the tenets of maintaining law and order, and that's what every citizen actually expects from our security agencies. I also want to commend, you see, Kenya is a mature democracy. People talk, they make a lot of noise, but ultimately in our region, in the Horn of Africa, in East Africa, call in the south of Sahara, or even the African continent, we have done very well as a country. We politic, we criticize each other, but when it comes to the hour of calling, we behave in a manner that is consistent with the aspirations and the expectations of the people of Kenya. So you can see, you know, a lot of things were expected. Violence was that nothing happened. At the end of the day, every individual voted for the person of his or her choice. I think that's what we expect. So it also shows the maturity, the resilience of our democracy. I want to say also congratulations to the people of, in particular the people of Kalou and the people of Kenya. But there are certain things that you must, and I also want to congratulate the winner. I know it's not officially declared, but I think it's apparent right now that Samuel Muchina Nyaga is the presumptive winner. Let me say this, and I want to congratulate him and welcome him to the August House, and I'm sure you'll have a very critical role to play, being a product. And whether you remember, Kibipiri and All Kalou have a very rich history. You know what happened in 1996, then by election? It's almost a repeat. It's a repeat. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. But one thing that I think my friend has alluded to, which I must say, as a person, a supporter of the two-term movement, President Ruto two-term re-election movement, is we still have 13 months to the general election. And even one day is such a long time in politics. I want to congratulate the government because they have decentralized development, even to regions that are perceived to be hostile to the government activities. And I think this is what our mature democracy is expected actually to do. Development is all over. I'm sure even where my friend comes from, in Busia, I am told they are now getting the highest level of development they have ever seen since independence. And yet, the MB, my good friend here, is a very good friend, is a critic, a non-critic actually of the government. So development should not be politicized. Okay. And therefore, what I want to say is, this is not a litmus test actually for 2027. Politics is very dynamic. One day in politics is such a long time, but it can also give you a feel of what people in particular community, you know, there has been a lot of hype about certain regions, certain activities. There's been a lot of propaganda. There's been a lot of introduction of populist and ethnic activities. And you see, what comes to my mind is the making of the nation state of Kenya. Basically, we are a collection of tribes, regions, loaded with a bit of personality cult. That's what we have seen. And personality clashes, you can see when you look at the activities between the erstwhile friends right now and what they are doing. So all these things is a continuation. It's something that is going to guide us to what we expect in 2027. But I must say this.
Okay. Yeah.
I must say this without fear, that this is going to be a wake-up call to the president and his handlers. It's an opportunity for them to go back to the drawing board and recalibrate the activities of the government and the party and tailor-made them both for the development of the Republic of Kenya and for winning 2027. And I think that's the bit. And I'm sure we'll be saying, look, business is not going to be. As a person who supports the re-election of the president, I think there are certain drastic steps that the government must take so that these issues are aligned with both for the national development need of the people of Kenya, but more so for the re-election of President William Ruto.
Okay, it might not be business as usual for the ruling party if indeed they lose this particular election. We need to pay the bills. We'll be coming back with the deliberations right here in studio, including other updates in terms of news making headlines as we wait for an update from all Kalou in terms of the front runners and how they're performing as the vote counting and tallying process is ongoing. Let's take that short break. We'll be back in a few.